bebé. Tengo fila hasta 3, no te necesito más. Te crees muy solo, sé, o bien que te digo, sé, pero hay más en Instagram. Si tú no quieres, bebé, tengo fila hasta 3, no te necesito más. Te crees muy solo, sé, o bien que te digo, sé, pero hay más en Instagram. Te crees magia de lo que eres, pero en el mundo lo que a mujeres más me la creía. Hasta ese día que me engañaste, ¿qué más?
Reciclaba amores y estabas tú. Te necesitaba, ya no fueron tantas flores. I'm going out my mind. Give me some directions to get to you. To get to you, ain't gonna waste my time. I know that we got connection. I think about you. You're on my mind, on my mind, on my mind. Yeah, I'm going out of my mind, out of my mind, out of my mind. Yeah, for you, my love. You drive me crazy, tell me what to do, what to do. I'm on my knees, yeah, I am begging you, begging you. I'll break the rules if it will get me to, yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to Friday night. So you already know it's 60 is the new 40. Listen, the conversation we're going to have tonight is really an important one. You know, as we get older, we know taking care of our parents is always at the top of the list. It's like a little checkbox. As I'm getting older, what are the things that's going to transition over into this lane? One potentially is being a caregiver for your parent. The other is being a caregiver for your grandchildren or your children, depending on where they are in life. So we're going to have this conversation with Gerald tonight, and it's all about taking care of your parents. I've done it. He's done it. So we're going to have a real conversation, and hopefully this conversation will help some of you guys out there about pre-planning and expectations around caring for a ill parent. Okay, Gerald, you know, like you and I it's so funny because I'm younger than you and I did it before you.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
Yeah. So like as you were starting to take care of your parent, your mom, I was wrapping up.
Well, I remember you kind of helped me because a couple conversations you had with me while you were doing it, I kind of prepared me for it too. So that's probably why we're having this conversation now, so everyone can see. We're preparing you for it. It's nothing like being prepared. I mean, you can't get totally prepared for it.
Yeah.
At least be somewhat. Trust me. It's stressful. Takes a lot of wear and tear on your life. So be prepared for it when that time comes.
And I think one of the things that was really helpful is that I had people that I could talk to.
Correct.
Because it's you love your parent, but then you lose a lot of your free time. Because
it's again, it's almost like having kids all over again.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much because you're responsible for them. You know, totally, and they become dependent of you too. You know, because at some point they realize that they're getting older, so they're dependent on you. So when you don't show up. Now, because there's a couple situations can happen. They could still be in their own home, and then you're going to visit and take care of them, or they move to your home. So there's a couple scenarios, or they're in a nursing home. So trust me, there's a lot of this.
It's a lot.
This may take a couple of shows to have this full conversation because
you're right. Because I think for me, I started out with taking care of my parents in their home, and then at some point, one of the parents went into a home. Right. And then you're going between the home and, you know, the nursing home. And it was just a lot. And at the same time, I was raising my son, and it was just a lot.
Right. So what happens to your life? You know, when
all I didn't have life.
That's absolutely correct. And that's my whole point is that here we go again. Is I'm saying that what happens to your life basically goes away. It's pretty much, you know, is owned by your parents and taking care of
Yeah.
your loved ones. So, and that's a commitment. I mean, you made that commitment. I made that commitment. I don't mind sharing that with, with everyone. Yeah, I made that commitment to take care of mom. I didn't want her to go into a nursing home. I wanted her to live right in here in a home with me. I let her stay in her home as long as she possibly could. And then transition where, you know what, I need to have you here. Traveling an hour and a half one way just to go check on you was tough. See, you may have been a little bit closer. I was an hour and a half one way.
And the distance was a big deal. And it was managing that. So I'm going to tell you guys, it's no easy way, but like Gerald said, is one that if you can start pre-planning, some of the things, it's like home health care is a huge expense. And a lot of times their insurance don't pay for it, or they pay part of it, and then you're responsible for the other part.
Well, it's funny because I've talked to so many people about it, and I experienced it. If your parents own a home, there's some things that, okay, so guess what? They're not going to get assistance because now you have something, that has value to it. So they're going to check all your assets, all your parents' assets. They're going to your cars, your homes, your retirement, every single thing. So you're looking for that assistance. It's not going to be out there, unfortunately. I mean, I was looking at some startling numbers. I knew we were going to have this. I need some startling numbers that talked about, young lady. She was making $70,000 a year. She had to quit her job to take care of her parents for 3 years. That's $240,000 she lost. She lost 240 something, and she can't contribute to her 401k. So like their life is going away. The caregiver's life is just absorbed by a whole lot of things. So again, now her Social Security, she can't, contribute towards her Social Security because she's not working. So there's a lot of things that you're affected by caring for, caring for your loved ones.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things, like, we had to make sure that everything was relying on their expense. So even their home had to be transferred into someone else's name just so that they could qualify for medical support that was needed. So it's a big conversation. I think a lot of times we just assume, oh, we got this. Well, what if you got a kid in college and a parent that you're taking care of? That is unreal. So folks, just to help you level set what's happening here, Joe, my first question to you is, what is the estimated cost of care for a healthy parent for 1 year?
Healthy parents, not as bad, because they're getting their Social Security and they're still getting, they still are capable of doing things. So the main cost is going to be you traveling back and forth and taking care of them, giving them, a little bit of help here and there, assistance as far as financially, not quite as bad, financially when they're still healthy, and you're still around, and they can, go to the grocery store or go with you. They're still getting their pensions and things like that. When all that stuff starts going away, trust me, now it kicks in when we get into the part where they're actually caring for them totally.
So my question is, like you, so overall, when you look at the care of a parent, it's like when you're looking at the distance, how can I say this? The distance for you to drive from their home to your home.
Correct.
What are some of the other costs?
Taking time off from work. That's another thing people don't realize, that if they're sick or have to go to the doctor's appointments, they're not capable of doing that.
Right.
They're still in their house, but they're not able to drive and those kind of things. You have to take off that time. So there's some vacation time, sick time that you're taking away from yourself to go do that. So whatever you're making and whatever type of time you get off, that's taken away from you too. So there's some things that you can't actually see as far as dollars and cents. So you're actually losing vacation time, sick time away, and just how it looks at work, period. Depending on what type of job it is that you're always off, or you have to call out on a particular day. I mean, again, I'm going to kind of expose myself. I've been in situations where 7 o'clock, I need to walk out the door and the aide comes in. All of a sudden, there's no aide at 7 o'clock.
Right.
Okay, I need to go to work. Like, what's happening here? Now, all of a sudden, that changed. So now I need to call out at the last minute.
Right.
Go ahead and care until they can get someone else to come in. That's a cost there. That costs.
It costs a lot too. So just folks, just on average, it's about $2,500 to $3,500 a month to take care of a parent. So when you look at that, That's on average for a healthy parent. If it's a parent that's not healthy, you're looking at anywhere from $6,000 to $7,000 a month.
Exactly.
And what that
$300.
includes,
Yep.
right? What it includes is their medication, the caregiver being there, and sometimes the caregiver, even though you're there, sometimes you need 24-hour caregiver, right? Depending on the status of your parent.
Correct.
So when you think about the overall cost, if you do have a job that you may be bringing in $10,000, $15,000 a month, and let's just be honest, if the parent did not save, they're not collecting Social Security. So think about the stay-at-home moms. In our era, we had stay-at-home moms,
Correct.
right?
That's
so
correct.
The likelihood of them collecting Social Security, they have their husband's pension, right?
Or they weren't the breadwinner. So they did have an income, but it wasn't a lot of income. So their Social Security is going to be what, $600, $700, $800?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just minimal.
Right. It's
So
just
the average cost is $2,500. To most of our parents, they weren't even making $2,500.
That's correct.
In the first place.
That's
but
correct.
To take care of them is $2,500 a month. So
Yes.
when you look at that overall, and if you're talking about a parent who is terminally ill with cancer or with some sort of like with lupus, all those kind of things, that cost goes up. Even Alzheimer's.
We're now at about 50 to 100,000 a year taking care of. At that point, when you're throwing the illness part in there, you're about anywhere from 50 to 100,000. I'm saying 50 because they're in your home. 100,000 if they go to a nursing home. So trust me, that's a serious cost right there. And a lot of
But
people
also like the medical equipment to take care of. Like if you have a parent that's missing an arm, if you have a parent that's missing legs, let's go with that.
Wow.
If they're missing any limbs, you're going to have a special thing to lift them, to bathe them. You're going to have a special car. I mean, these are a lot of different costs associated with that. So folks, the only thing I can tell you is, I know you're thinking, oh my God, this is an intense conversation to have on a Friday. Folks, when you're taking care of a parent, it's an intense situation.
You're absolutely correct, Chris. Because you need to think about the wear and tear on your body lifting. So if you don't have a lift and you're trying to lift 170, 180 pounds, and God forbid it be a male that may weigh 200 pounds, and you're trying to shift them and move them around, that's a lot of wear and tear. I mean, yes, love is there for it, but you know what? Reality is also there too as well. And here mom was probably about $130, $140, at her best of times. And even with these big arms over times and these shoulders, it wore me down. It wore me down. It really does. It wears on you. So you have to get a lift. You have to make sure you're shifting them if they're not able to move themselves, so they're not getting bed sores and all that. So these are things, like I said, this is a conversation can go on quite a bit. And we can kind of educate you a little bit on the things to look out for and try to get some preventive measures here, as you were saying before.
Yeah, it's a lot of preventive things you need to do. And just understand this too, a lot of the medication is not covered. So you do have to pay cash out of pocket for a lot of their medication, especially when you have a parent that has a terminal illness or medication that their insurance company just says we're not covering. So an example is some shots for diabetes is $1,000. So if their insurance doesn't cover it, now you're looking at paying $1,000 just for medication to keep your parent alive. And that's a lot of pressure, right? And to be honest with you, just the anxiety and the stress around it. So you're worrying about the bills at your house, the bills at their house, the medication that they need. Do they have groceries? Do I have somebody that's going to show up on time? If they don't show up on time, because to be honest with you, my situation was different in the sense that we had someone who was there during the day.
Right.
And techie me put cameras in so I could watch them at night and stay at my own house.
That's me. I had cameras. Cameras coming in the house, cameras in the hallways, cameras in the room. Cameras everywhere. As soon as the caregiver here, I let them know right away. I got cameras everywhere. You can see them.
And you do need those cameras.
Sure you do.
Not because you're a spy, but it's just for care. You want to make sure everything is good.
And when mom was still walking around on her own, I want to make sure she doesn't fall.
Right.
That she's not falling, she's a fall risk, something like that. So again, you have to be very mindful of those type of things too as well. But Chris, you nailed it earlier when you made the comment about anxiety. You talked about building some serious anxiety. I didn't even know what anxiety. What's anxiety? I'm Mr. Relax, loosey goosey, and what all this stuff. But you take care for your parent 24/7. You talk about building some serious anxiety. I left a job for it. I did the very thing the young lady did. I left my job. to care for mom. And I'll be simply because, again, the caregivers were not showing up, or the type of caregivers we would get here. Another important thing that people need to realize, every caregiving company, it depends on your parents' situation as far as the care. Some levels, some caregivers don't take care of that level. So mom started going to different levels. So I had to change the company. And I didn't realize that. I didn't know any of that kind of stuff. So hopefully this will help somebody know that. So find out with the company that you're going with that they actually can care for somebody that's at this level here. So you need to let them know, where their baseline is. And then, then have that conversation. Do you care for somebody like that? In the meantime, remember, I've been doing it for 8 years with her. Yeah. So in 8 years, it changed. It constantly changed. So guess what? I needed to change care companies. So again, those are factors that you really need to be considering. Or if you can get a company that can do it all, that's wonderful. Then you can stay with one person. She had one young lady for about 3 years, which was awesome. Because again,
and also Gerald would say that that's rare too.
Oh,
like that's not norm,
really
folks.
rare.
And the other thing is too, you've got to interview multiple companies. You got to interview them because, like anything else, people look their best when they show up for the interview, but it's not until they start the job. So you got to interview, get references, talk to parents, talk to families who've used them before. They have a lot of parent groups on Facebook. Join those groups, and they'll start referring you to different resources. I remember when we had to put my dad on a van because he was still mobile, but my mom wasn't mobile at the time. And he wanted to continue to go out. So we had to figure out how to keep him out there and keep him sociable.
Sure.
Because that's what he wanted to do. And it's just like that. You just got to do what you got to do to make. And like you said, it's like you have to respect your parents. They're adults, but you're taking care of them like you're the parent.
Exactly. Sure. And be very mindful and be careful with that, because you can turn into that. Like you start going like, wait a minute, they're still your parent. Relax. Right. And also understand that they're not doing things on purpose. They're getting older. Right. Mom had dementia, so things she didn't remember, she didn't understand any longer. So she's, converting back to, to infancy. So again, you be very mindful of that type of stuff. So you're like, okay, she doesn't understand. Just go ahead and be humble and take care of her for her. That's all.
Because they do forget. So, Drew, I'm going to tell you a cost that we probably didn't expect to have. What's the cost for a box of Depends, Gerald?
Oh, it's about $35 for.
Oh my God! Ours here?
Yes, for a thing of adult, about 20 packs of adult Depends.
Ours here is $40-something.
Yeah, about $35.
So, if you think about that, folks, you go through like a box of Depends every 2 weeks. Correct. Depending on your parent. And so that by itself, I used to say, Dad, you're taking my gas money.
Right. That can be expensive. And it just depends again what care level they go. Because again, if the care level gets worse later on, and then she has to get changed. Because I'm changing every 2 hours.
Exactly.
Every 2 to 3 hours. Donna was worse than me. You know what I mean? She's changing mom every hour. She's up in the middle of the night changing mom, all that type of stuff. So, those, it just depends. And I recommend do that within an hour or two. That keeps those bed sores down. Because when we had caregivers come in, they were like, she has no bed sores. She looks perfectly fine. She's healthy. We take her to the doctor, like, wow, this is wonderful. I said, yeah, because we change her. We don't let her sit in those diapers. That again, when I was going to work and somebody said they couldn't show up, I'm like, no, I need to leave because mom needs to get changed.
Right.
Plain and simple. So those
folks, we're gonna talk more about that when we get back. And Joe, before we go to commercial break, how long did you take care of your mom?
8 years.
8 years. Okay, well, I think I got you beat, but this is not a race or anything. Let's just say I spent a long time with my parents, but it was well worth it. And I enjoyed every second of it. Just be able to spend time with my parents was great for me. So I don't regret any of it. And I was able to finish. I think I finished like a master's and a half.
Yeah. I
started working on my second master's, taking care of my mom, my dad, and raising my kid. So it was a lot, but
I do it all over.
They're good parents to me, and I don't regret it.
Same here. I do it all over again.
Exactly. I don't regret it at all. Folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. When we get back, we're going to fill you on some more of that 411 about caring for your parents. We'll be right back. The love of our life. My name is Christine Burkett.
the inventor of the 5 F's to love. This is a compatibility app. It's an app that gives you an opportunity to rate words that start with the letter F in chronological order of importance to you, to help you find your one true love, your soulmate, and the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So after you've taken the time to rate your F's in chronological order, you send a link to the person, I don't know, you just met, or the person you've been dating for quite some time. Or maybe it's the person you've been married to for 30 to 40 to 50 years. And then you compare your top 5 F's to find out what things you have in common and things that you may perhaps need to work on. This is taking a simplistic perspective on how to find your one true love, your soulmate, the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And thank you for downloading the 5F's app.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 5F's to Love. Of course, you notice the 60s New 40 because it is Friday. Yes, we're talking about parenting because the older you get, between the ages of 55 and 65, you will have to take care of your parents or pay someone to take care of your parents, but it's going to fall in there somewhere, right? And for those who don't, congratulations. This show does not apply to you, but please be a shoulder to cry on or an ear to listen to for those of us who have to take care of our parents. One of the things I don't think I thought about, Gerald, to be honest with you, is the life expectancy of a male or a female. So the next question is, what do you think? And this is like I'm playing a guessing game with you right now, by the way.
Okay.
See if you know. What is the average lifespan of a Black male?
Roughly 72.
You're very close. It's 69.
69, yeah. Because I'm a Black man. You know, I'm paying attention to that. You know, I want to beat those odds. So you're looking at somebody looking at that like, okay, wait a second. So,
but if you look at a white male, it's 75.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with stress level.
So
anxiety,
that's what you just said.
Yeah, and you just mentioned that earlier. That's why I honed in on it. When you had mentioned that anxiety and stress that we actually have on Black men, it'll take you away from here. Stress is a huge factor as far as your health is concerned, far as anything causing health conditions and stuff just because of stress. So take that walk, relax yourself. That's why again, we're going to have those videos about working out and training and doing those other things just to kind of ease your mind. Take a walk and smell the roses, because again, you have stress as soon as we walk out the door as a Black male. There's just stress within itself, just being outside in the world itself. So again,
think about this too, folks, when you're thinking about the life expectancy of a Black male. Most Black males have labor intensive jobs, which means that it's a lot of pressure on their bodies. Those who work in the office, they do live longer. And they also say if you're married, you live longer. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I can say to you is you single guys who are out there, you better start looking for some wives so you can, live longer. That's all I can tell. But let me just say this too, is being married to the right person, because you could be with somebody that stress you out.
Well, again, this gives me a chance to slide down in there. That's exactly where, take that stress off of me and relax me, keep me around for a while. I promised her 30 years. So guess what? That's what I'm working at.
Okay, that's awesome. I like that. So let me ask you a question. What do you think the average lifespan is for a Black female?
75.
75, Gerald. You're close to 76.
Real close. There we go.
Yeah. So I can tell you, like, my great grandmother lived to be almost 100 years old. Yeah. My grandfather didn't make it past 70. So she made it 20 years.
My new grandmother, she's 92. Donna's grandma's 92. And can dance around. She was dancing at the wedding. And I love to show pictures of that, her actually dancing, moving around. So, and that's because of lack of stress. Just her personality that she has. Again, fancy free, loving life. Again, taking that stress off of you. Stress is a dangerous thing. You can tell she's so relaxed in her life. She's going to probably live for another 10, 15, 20 years.
You said for another 10 or 15 years. That'd be great if she did. One of the biggest things that I think we kind of overlook is the concept of power of attorney. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times there's a lot of pushback, especially when you have siblings. If you're not an only child and you have siblings, If you are in a second marriage or third marriage and you have stepbrothers and sisters, and there's a whole thing. So can you walk us through that process? Because I know you have siblings,
Sure do.
but because you became the primary caregiver, there were some things that you had to do. So can you walk us through that process?
I can, and I'll just tell you and kind of expose that my situation is, my family members, my brothers and sisters, they were, out of town. They live, in other cities and
Mhm.
states. So again, we came together and we didn't want to move mom away from her out of the state or anything like that, too far away. So we kept her close, and I was willing to go ahead and take her, and they were fine with that. But we communicated every single week. Any move I made with mom, they knew about it.
Mm.
So for me to be the power of attorney just made total sense. But I
Mhm.
never did anything without, consulting with those guys. They knew pretty much, what to happen. A lot of times they just trust me and like, Gerald, just go ahead and do it. But again, I feel better with actually saying something to them about it. So a power
Mhm.
of attorney, obviously is a document, and you want dual power of attorney. What that does, durable power of attorney, excuse me, what it does is allow
Mhm.
for you to handle their medical and their finances. So you need to make sure you have that, because you get one of the power of attorneys and you're in the bank trying to handle things. They're like, no. And the power of attorney just says medical. If you're doing the medical, and then you're trying to go, finances, and you're trying to go medical, they're like, no, it only had a medical. So again, get the one that actually handles everything. Also, what their wishes are. This is something that people don't realize either. Some people don't want to be revived. So
Mhm.
don't, and that's actually in the power of attorney. So everything's in there. It just states they don't want that. The nurses' homes are going to ask for that. They're going to ask for that document. That just shocked me when I was like, "Whoa, what are you talking about?" But that's actually in the power of attorney. Those are the things that you need to know. That, and while your parents are still, capable of answering that
Mhm.
question, you want to have that conversation.
So
Some people,
that's what I wanted to know. Like, how did you start that process? Did you start it with your siblings first, and then
yes,
you guys kind of sat down with your mom?
correct.
What did that look like? What was that process?
You're absolutely correct. That's exactly what we did. We had the conversation with each other first before we
Mhm.
were going to do anything with mom. Then we're like, well, okay, we're going to do the such and such with mom. Then we go ahead and talk to mom about it.
Okay.
And then it comes to a point where she's like, no, she wants to take care of herself, don't want to do those things. And I understand that, we respected that.
Yeah.
But then when it came to the point where like, okay, we need to jump in now. We need to go ahead and take care of this, because she's not able to do it and not capable of doing that any longer.
Okay.
So
So the question I want to ask you is this. You're going to get a lot of parents. It's like that driver's license conversation, right? It's time to give up your
yes,
driver's license.
yes.
So a lot of parents, when you say to them, I need to be power of attorney, they feel like you're taking over their life, and they give you a lot of pushback. Now, your mom was a little person, but she was feisty though.
She sure was. Now, one thing you want to mention to him is just like being power of attorney or POD on someone's bank
Mhm,
account. I
mhm.
can't do a thing until something happens to you. All right, you still can make
Right,
decisions on your own. I'm just power of attorney when it gets to the point where you're not able to make the decisions.
right,
You know what I mean? So power of attorney, yes, I can go to the bank and do certain things that they have that file, but at the same time, mom can say, you know what, I don't want you to be power of attorney any longer. So if they feel like they're being overpowered, it can be removed. But at the
right.
same time, you're doing the best for them. It says, you know what, if something happens to you and you're not capable of handling things, I'm already power of attorney. Because it's going to be questioned. All of a sudden, now you
Oh,
have
yeah.
dementia and you're not able to do anything. How did this power of attorney get signed by you?
And that's the thing, because I know, like with my parents, it was a struggle, especially for my dad. He
Hmm.
just did not want any of his kids to be, as he said, the boss of him. You're not going to be the boss of me.
No,
Um, and the other thing is, my dad managed his finance so meticulously. It was a notebook for every month.
right.
Really, I mean, it was just so meticulous. So I think as my dad got, sick, he ended up with Alzheimer's. My
Hmm.
mom was managing the books, and then when she could no longer do it, it was just kind of like, okay, we got to figure this out.
Sure.
But the thing is, Joe, when you find that a lot of parents, like your parents will move in with you, but they don't want to give up that power of attorney thing. They're like, you wait till I just can't move.
Hmm.
And then, but at that point, I think parents on it's too late. Like if you can't move and you can't speak, we have a problem.
I was fortunate that mom trusted me.
Hmm.
She trusted me in a way to know that I have her best interest at heart. So again, it was like, I'm not going to do anything, period. You're still going to pay your own bills. You're still going to handle all this.
Right.
I'm not going to touch any of that stuff. I'm just there in the event that something would happen. It's like a life insurance policy. Is like, obviously, I can't collect until something happens, but I'm not going to try to make anything happen to you. So the very same thing with power of attorney. I'm not gonna, I can't do a thing. So here you go. Again, I'm power of attorney in the event that something were to happen or you're not capable of taking care of, and explained it to her that way, because unfortunately in our community, a lot of times we don't understand that. We don't understand those things and the legalities here. And we're trying to avoid that. Power of attorney also goes away the time, the day, the hour, the second they pass away, you no longer have power of attorney. Mm-hmm. It is. And so a lot of people will, oh, you use your power of attorney. No, they're deceased. Power of attorney is only good for while they're alive. So now
a lot of people don't know that.
You're right. So again, I go because I'm a banker. You want to put on their POD. So if something were to happen, it now passes on to you.
Yeah. Someone
passes away. Now that account passes over to you without going through Uncle Sam or going through through the taxes and all this other stuff that they're gonna want you to get an estate account and all that. No, again, it just goes to you automatically. You take the death certificate in, and the bank turns the account right over to you. Uncle Sam doesn't have to know one thing about you receiving whatever amount of money mom or dad or whoever left you. So, which is a good thing. So those are important things to know.
So, folks, make sure you take note. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk about Medicaid and Medicare, because let me tell you something, folks. You think process for a power of attorney is big?
Ooh.
Deal with these folks. It kind of makes you go back and say, you know what, you can have them.
Right.
If it's that serious, can have them.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So look, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Look at me, I'm on. 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 Can't stop, keep going. Can't stop, keep going. Can't stop, keep going. Can't stop, keep going.
Okay. Hold up. Yeah. I'm chasing a bag, I'm racing the clock. Look at them block, watching them flop. See this in my sleep. When I ain't had shit but my thoughts in the car, I really was lost. Now I'm public with the soundscapes. Niggas floss, I'm really pulling strings for the pound cake. I see you went for a puppet in the clown face for a little wage. That shit, the talk of the town is late. Still me, I never switch sides. Came a long way with the gas tank running on fumes.
Can't stop, keep going.
Hey guys, welcome back to Friday, and you already know it's 60 is the new 40, and that's Gerald. So you know what's happening tonight. Folks, we're talking, if you're just catching up with us right now, 2 things that I need you to know. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Right.
And this is pre-recorded. So all of those who are putting comments in chat, like for Gerald, he is going to respond to those, but he'll respond to you guys next week, or he will follow with you in chat, in comments for you. Just leave any information that you want him to, you want to ask him about taking care of your parent. Gerald is really great, especially with the financial part, folks, because there's a huge difference in how you look at the care part of your parent, taking care of your parent, and what that looks like for you financially. Now, Gerald, I'm going to tell you, I have to be totally transparent. With that Medicaid and Medicare, I wanted to punch everybody in the face.
Oh,
it is such a struggle.
I'll be transparent with you too as well. It took me.
So we're going to talk. Look, let's talk about Medicare first.
Okay.
We can talk about Medicare and Medicaid together. But
okay.
How long did it take?
I keep forgetting the difference between the two. I just know. But I was fortunate enough. Well, fortunate not for because mom remarried, and so her husband again. So now you had to put both incomes. And fortunately, he didn't make that much. So again, they were too much. They made $600 and some odd dollars too much to qualify. I'm like, okay, really? But guess what I found out?
Right.
There was a lawyer that said that there's a trust that you can put together here in the state of Delaware. It's called a Miller Trust. So that Miller Trust has to be open. So that additional money had to go into that particular account for them to qualify. Yeah. But I had to document every dime where that money went to. So if she bought a toothbrush, that's where it went. That's every single thing had to be documented. So that money had to be used for all those, for all her caring. Exactly right. So for all the caring, and every single year they wanted a document showing exactly where those money went. What did I do? I kept every receipt. I didn't.
So you know what? You know what, Joe? Everybody's not like you, right? To be that meticulous about the care of their parent, managing their finances and things like that. So we don't want everyone to walk away from us thinking that everybody's a Gerald. Right. Christine wasn't even a Gerald. We're going to be clear. Christine wasn't a Gerald. But the thing is that I think when you go into this, you have to put the love for your parent first.
Sure.
And the other thing is, a lot of people, financially, you're not going to fall into the Medicaid, Medicare situation. Your parents would have left insurance behind. And we are going to talk about that in the last segment. But the thing is that if they don't, a good majority of our parents, especially in the minority community, have not.
Have not. That's right. Yeah.
And that's the reason why we're having this conversation about the potential things that could impact you taking care of your parents. So I'm going to tell you the Medicaid, Medicare application. I said I probably will never be able to run for office because if they have my pre-recorded conversation, it was a lot of profanity. I'm going to be honest, because I got frustrated. And I was just like, they were asking me questions about my income. And I was just like, stop. Like, this is not about me. This is about them.
Were they living with you at the time?
Say it again.
Were they living with you at the time when they were asking about your incomes and all that?
Yeah, because we were trying to get them
in your house.
Trying to get them home health care.
Right, exactly. If they're in your house, because see, fortunately, they were still, when I got it for them, they were still on their own. So
no. My parents were not living with me. But in order for me to get the help I needed, I had to say that they were living with me.
Right.
So then that subsidized. Right. Gotcha. I couldn't afford to pay for the nursing care out of my own pocket. Oh. So it's just like, yeah, they live with me. They were like, what are your work hours? What do you make? I was like, oh my God, honey, I got to pay for daycare. Are you paying for daycare in this?
I know we talked about it earlier, but I hate to shock people. I had a lady to come to the bank. She come to see me every month to write a $7,000 check to their nursing home.
Oh, yeah.
Every single month, $7,000. Then he was not getting his medication. So they had to start $500 to give him medication. So now it was $7,500. These are real numbers, guys. $7,500 a month. She had 200,000, but you divide 200,000 by 7,500.
That's a lot.
That's right. That's not a lot. You figure it's what, 80-some thousand a year? Yeah. $80,000+ a year, plus on top of the other expenses, that money's gone. That money's out of here.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's gone. All your life savings and everything you put into it is going to be gone. So you need to try to get that Medicaid and Medicare, now. Same way when you were talking earlier about, getting rid of the home, excuse me, what's going to happen? The nursing home is going to want 3 years of their bank statements. Yes. Medicaid, Medicare is going to want 3 years of their statements. They're going to want to know, where did you put that $50,000, Chris? Chris, where did you put the $50,000? Back here in 2002, they had $50,000. They're going to question that.
And that's the thing, folks. This is not anything you can decide to do at the last minute.
That's correct.
And think you're going to have coverage. You actually have to pre-plan for this.
Correct.
So the thing is that start having these conversations now with your parents or parent and discussing, I don't need to know all your business, but do you own this house? Or are you still paying a mortgage?
Correct.
That's all I need to know. Because folks, those are big conversations. So I think that's the other thing too, Gerald, is that being raised by financially savvy parents was a great thing because I don't live above my means. So all of my stuff is paid for. So if anything happened to me right now, Christine is going to qualify for that Medicaid, Medicare. I'm qualifying. But the thing is, I don't need it because also I learned from that experience to have all of these different things to back up the care that I'm going to need. And more importantly, I'm going to say this too. I have a son, and 9 times out of 10, if you have a boy, they may take care of you, but the odds are not good because men are selfish. I'm not talking about you, Drew. You happen to be a gem. You're not the norm. Okay. But I will say this, he might take care of me, but it may not be at the level of my standards.
And I already feel that my son won't take care of me. He'll throw me right in the home. So I knew I had to get married because he would throw me right into the home quick, fast, and in a hurry. So
Drew, what you say? He'll be dialing the numbers.
He'd be dialing the numbers immediately. He'd probably checking into it. He's like, nope, I can't do it now. Pops is married. So all right.
God.
And again, he would throw me right into a home and started collecting the check and move right here.
You know what? That's the crazy thing, folks. You got to know your kids. Like, and again, I know my son loves me. Let's be clear. But I also know that he may end up, he may take care of me. He may not. But I have a backup plan. And my backup plan, Gerald, is real simple. I'm going to get me a house either in North Carolina or in Tennessee.
Okay.
And I'm also making sure that it's off the water. I want to make sure it's paid for. And I'm actually putting money away so I can subsidize somebody's salary to come move in with me to take care of me.
Okay. There you go. To actually move in with you, huh?
So the thing is, folks, that's what I mean. You have to start planning now.
You do.
For what that looks like. And because I don't have anyone outside of me to take care of me, I know I need to start planning for that. And I'm 52.
Right. And Chris alluded to this earlier. We're only skimming the surface. There's going to be so many other secret things that pop up on us, so many other things, as far as cost is concerned or situations. So we're just only skimming the surface here right now.
We are skimming the surface.
There's so much stuff. There's so much that will come up. Things will happen.
There's so many things that come up. Now, Gerald, I want to know what you did. When your parent still has regular insurance as their primary insurance, it's like the fight for Red October. You would think that was like a virus when you're trying to get help. They're like, oh, you still have Blue Cross Blue Shield? What?
Wow. See, I didn't have to experience that, so which was fortunate because, again, when mom retired, her insurance didn't go with her. So, again, we didn't have to deal with that. So that was very fortunate. So I can't imagine what you went through because all the questions they asked me, it was enough. I was like, uncle, like I just wanted to give up because it was just too much.
Oh, yeah.
I went back to see this lady so many times. Get your little number. I had to deal with social services, no department. Get your little number, sit on the side and wait.
Yes.
Are you kidding me right now? There's 10 people in line. I'm sitting there waiting all day. And then when she finally sees me, she tells me one thing in 10 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Literally 10 minutes.
Literally 10 minutes. She gave me 10 minutes of her time. Like, are you kidding me right now?
And you're sitting there like, I just sat here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, but it's 10 minutes.
But it's 10 minutes.
Girl, I could have texted you and you could have texted us back to me.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely.
I could have been gone. And that's the other thing too, when you're trying to take care of your parents' business. And I will say this, folks, when it comes to insurance, there's a couple of things you need to look at. If you have USAA, because maybe your father or mother was in the military,
right?
That's a different situation altogether because when you're dealing with the veterans, it's a whole different thing. So you have to deal with that on top of Medicaid and Medicare. And so what I'm going to say to you folks is get your list together and start preparing for that mentally. It becomes an emotional thing. And I remember the one time where they said something that my mother needed wasn't covered, right? It wasn't covered under Medicaid, Medicare, or regular insurance.
Wow.
And I literally, you break down in that moment because you're thinking, I can't let my parent go without this. It's a necessity, right? And so you begin to figure things out. But I've seen people go into debt, taking care of their parents, and then they get so stressed out after the parent passes, they're already in debt and they're trying to figure out how to get out of debt in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah. Do you realize, is it Medicaid? Which one's the government? Which government, Medicaid or Medicare, Chris?
It's Medicare.
Guess what? When they decease, they want that money back.
Don't start.
I got a bill for $236,000. I'm letting you guys know, and I'm putting it out there for you. I'm exposing that. I bill for $200. They want moms. They want to go into her estate. Does she have an estate left over? Because we need to pay back that. We're like, wait a minute. I thought that's a service. Didn't we pay into that? Didn't we pay through her working and everything else? Now all of a sudden they want that money back. They sent a bill for $236,000.
See, that's the thing, and I'm glad you said that, Joe, because a lot of people don't understand that. So if you do leave this world with some wealth at all, they're coming after. And the thing is, that's where you need somebody like Gerald so that he can make sure that that is taken care of and is in someone else's name, is in the grandchildren's name.
Exactly.
Because then they can't touch it. And folks, I'm not about dodging, your responsibilities when it comes to the government. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that it's rare that minority families have anything to hand down to their families, because again, not that they didn't work hard, they just made less.
Sure.
They work hard. They made less.
Right. And it's nice to get that home. And if you got the big home, you got all those kind of things. That's wonderful. Yeah. But that's something happened to you. They're coming to get all that.
Oh, yeah, they'll come
get that stuff. If you don't do the right things, they're coming to get that. So you're not leaving it to the kids. So the kids, next thing you know, it's going to be a sheriff's sale or if you want to pay that, that mortgage they may still have, because you mentioned it earlier, having those hard conversations. Okay, I need you to lay your bills out. I need you to lay your income out. Your parents aren't telling you what their income is. They're not telling you.
No.
That's a tough conversation to have that.
Some parents refinance their houses and you don't even know they refinanced.
They did a reverse mortgage. You ever heard of reverse mortgages? You did a reverse mortgage. I mean, again, you got to pay that back or you lose the house, period. The mortgage, you have no mortgage at all. You do a reverse mortgage. That money becomes an income to you for that reverse mortgage. But guess what? That's taking all the equity and everything, the value out of your house every time they send you a check. Every time you get a monthly check, that's taking all the equity. So guess what? When you die, guess what they're coming to do? They're coming to get that house. So, like
Gerald, I'm going to tell you that happened to a really good friend of mine. I shouldn't laugh; it's not funny, but it is funny. The mother and the father passed away like within months of one another, and they kept getting notices of eviction. And they said, "Well, our parents own their house. What is this eviction thing?" They kept getting notices from a company saying your things have to be removed from the home by this date. They were like, what is going on? Or give us this amount.
Right.
Finally, one of the siblings reached out to them and found out that the father said, look, we're doing a reverse mortgage. So when they were buying that Cadillac and going on these vacations and traveling the world, their attitude was, we ain't going to have to be here to pay the money back. We're going to live our best life. And they did.
That happens. I mean, you can do that. If that's what you want to do, then more power to you.
And you can. But tell your children so that your children are not like, they were thinking, oh, we can put one of our kids in a house. But the thing is, it was a house they grew up in. They had it in the family for years. And they were like, why did he do this?
Yeah.
Why would he give away our history? So within a matter of 30 to 45 days, they had to move everything out of this house or pay the money back.
That's true. Or pay the money back. Absolutely. They're coming for it. As soon as they find out you pass away, they're coming for it. They're coming for the house. So
just think about it. If you lived in a house for 60 years, that's 60 years of stuff.
That's the game they play. That's the game they play. They do that reverse mortgage. They know that person passes away. You're not going to have $180,000 to give up to pay that house off. And they want it right away. They don't want you to go get a loan for it. Right. They want it right away.
Send them an eviction. Get out.
Right. So again, $180,000, $200,000 all of a sudden coming back. Like, whoa, wait a second. Or they're looking for your life insurance policy. Say, wait a minute, can we get out of your state? So
out of your state. And folks, that does make a difference. Sure. Folks, when we get back, we're going to wrap up this segment. But like Gerald said, this is not a one-stop shop. It's more to talk about. But we wanted to start the conversation so you guys can begin to get prepared. Please. Both of us have already been through it. So all I got to say is learn from people who've been through it so you know what to do. And you can kind of get around the mistakes that we made. Everybody makes mistakes through this process. There's always a little shortcut. And when we get back, we're going to talk about why you need to hire somebody who's already done this before. And contact AARP. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
All right.
My business. 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 Mob dripping, mob business.
Do you want it though? Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, it's not a purse, it's a merch. 6 figures was a goal, now it's 9 or a hearse. Put it work. Used to pull up, not swerve. No time for the snakes, time to put them in the dirt. That's word. I gotta get it, it's in my DNA. You only see the highlights, don't know what it takes. Last year stressing, got no sleep. Now I'm right between the courts, out of nosebleed. I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. And through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, same circles to the same gang. We just get to it, we don't gangbang. Lost some friends to the same thing. Keep a low pro when we maintain. Find us in the lost somewhere.
Hey guys, welcome back. You know it's Friday, so this is 60 is the New 40. If you're just joining us right now, we're talking about parenting. Yeah, it really is parenting. It's like the back end of parenting of your parents. We're talking about taking care of your parents. So listen, if you're one of those fortunate people that you haven't had to take care of your parents, definitely be a support to those who are taking care of their parents. It really is emotionally challenging, financially challenging. And a lot of people go through a lot of different things when they're taking care of their parent. One of the things that you are going to lose is time. We just want to be totally honest about that. And you can't be angry about it. Joe, you handle things very well. I think you did a great job, taking care of your mom and your stepdad. You did a phenomenal job. And you had a really great attitude about it.
I was committed to it. I looked at it years ago when I used to see older women walking around trying to get groceries in the cart, 80 years old. I'm like, okay, can somebody help them? I mean, where's the family? And then I always said that when mom was in her 50s, I said, you know what, she gets older and she gets that position in life, I'm going to be there for her. And I made that commitment a very, very long time. And I never really thought that day would come. I never thought the day would come that I would actually have to take care of her. Never thought the day she would pass away. Never thought those days would ever come in life. And so that,
I know, isn't that weird? Like when I saw my parents,
I still deal with her every day.
That.
She just passed away back in August, and I still every day ready to go in her room and give her a big hug and kiss. She walks into the room, or I walk into the room and she brightens up like, whoa. Mm-hmm. And all the caregivers like, how did she do that? She was just sitting there doing nothing all day, and you walk into the room. They know that love. They know that love they receive. They know the care that they receive. So trust me, it's important, and it's self-satisfaction too. Mom put that effort into me. She put that time into me. So guess what? I think she deserves to get it back.
That is so true, folks. Your parents put a lot into you. I'm gonna say it's not a day that I don't think about my parents. Yeah. It's not one day. And the other day, my mom's best friends since elementary school, my godmother. I love seeing her because it's like seeing my mom. And she said to me, you look just like her. You look exactly like her. And then she says, sometimes I said, I know. She says, I try not to cry. She says, I just can't believe how much you look like her. And I was like, wow. I said, thank you. She was like, and your mom would be so proud of you. But it's so silly, even as an adult, how important it is just to hear little things like that from your parents. So folks, while you're going through this, one of the things that I think that I should have done more of is recording my parents saying anything to me, saying my name, because as the time spans, you forget what their voice sounds like when they call your name.
And my wonderful sister, she pulled some videos up, and
Yeah.
fortunately, we had mom's voice on it.
Yeah.
Donna never heard mom talk, so she actually got the opportunity to hear her voice,
Yeah.
which is very touching to me. Like you were saying again,
Yeah.
Donna's mom is my mom all over again. So I able to have that again, my mother in love, to be there and be supportive with me like that and give me the same care that my mother gave me, even at this age, which is awesome. So, but every day again, I want to walk in that room and just say, you know what? Hey, mom, how are you, mom? I love you. Just give her a hug and a kiss. I don't want to get
Right.
emotional here about it, but it just meant so much. 8 years, dedicating 8 years of your life. I mean, truthfully, I really had no life, at all. I mean, traveling up and down the highway, doing this and that, and
Right.
when you are away, you're not away.
Yeah, you're not ever away when you're taking care of your parents.
No, I try to
You're
spend
looking at the phone waiting for something.
wait for something to go on. Right, exactly right. And actually, I had their ringtone on an alarm. So when it came over alarm, I knew that was their call. Other calls I just ignored. Their ringtone sound totally different. So I knew what was going on. Could you actually go away and have a good time knowing that that's there? It really it wears on your body. So trust me, I want to go back to that. Please take care of yourself. If you're caring for a loved one, do not forget about yourself. Statistically, you know what happens? That's one statistic people didn't realize. The caregiver, a lot of times they pass away before the person that they're caring for.
They do.
Or not far after that, because again, they wore
far
themselves
after.
out. So you got to be very, very mindful. Of that. Be very careful from stress. Exactly right.
There's a lot of stress.
And like I said, the anxiety and just missing them.
Mhm.
Because you kind of go into a low. Because like, okay, what do I do now? Because there's times I'm working in the yard here now, because this is my first summer without mom.
Yeah.
I'm ready to run back in the house and check on her.
Right.
And I'm
Because
like,
you're not thinking. It just becomes a norm.
it became my norm. And it was like, wow, look at this time I had.
Right.
Okay.
You don't realize how much time that you've lost. To you, it just becomes part of your norm and you're just doing it.
Correct. And I'd love to come back and have this conversation again, and expand a little bit more, because I even have more things just to kind of share with folks, because there is a lot more to this. So we can kind of work that in and have another show on this one, because there's a lot more things and a lot more details that hopefully help folks here. And that's the whole point of this, is just so you and I can help somebody, get through this.
Oh yeah.
That's the whole point of it.
And the only thing, folks, I want to leave you with is that you can always contact your elderly community support services in your area. You can always reach out to AARP and the Institute of Aging in your community. So I'm going to tell you, those are excellent resources. Always make sure you keep up with your church community, because they offer a lot of like feeding programs, the van to pick up the elderly. And even if your parent is not in one of the senior centers, they will still come pick up your parent so that they can be active in their community. It's called day care.
You had mentioned that too before, because there was a church here that was giving meals, that would send meals, so find those things out. Easter Seals. Actually, Easter Seals did a lot to help out. So I definitely have to give a plug to Easter Seals. They really stepped in and helped out quite a bit too as well. So there's some programs that are out there that would help, some nonprofit programs. You just need to find out which ones are. So Easter
You
Seals,
do, because you're right. Easter Seals, United Way, those are some great places for you to start. So folks, start putting your playlist together. Start thinking about the things that you're going to need. Create the playlist for your parents and create one for yourself that you can extend and give to your kids. Folks, what we're saying is, when you reach age 50, as soon as you get that AARP card, you're in the club. So you might as well start calling and take advantage of the services.
Welcome to the club.
Right? Join the club. Be a part of the club. So I'm going to say it's never too late to start planning and then start thinking about what it looks like for you long term. Gerald, I want to thank you for having this conversation. I know it wasn't an easy conversation for you to have, so I appreciate you sharing all of your wisdom and concepts and thoughts about how to prepare to take care of your parent.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you as well, because it's definitely a tough one for me. But again, we're all about helping folks, so we don't mind letting you know and share it, because our community doesn't share these kind of things with each other.
They don't.
We don't help, and I definitely want that. I don't want to be that person not to share it. I want to be able to pass that on and help everyone out to the best of my ability. So
And folks, don't forget, if it's not the bank where you bank at, you really need to start looking at a financial advisor to start planning, not only to take care of your parent, but your exit strategy as well. It's never too late to begin planning for financial security long term. There may be some things that you're doing now that you will not be able to afford to do, but you need to be prepared for that. And don't make any major financial decisions after age 50. Start looking at what you need to do to start planning for long-term retirement and healthcare.
Yep.
Gerald, thanks again for another awesome show on 60 is the New 40 with Gerald Robinson. I'll see you next week. And folks, this is pre-recorded. We would love for you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Please
Gerald,
do.
we'll see you next Friday. You have a great weekend.
Have a good one.